Right, we are moving on now to a film which I think all of us have seen, which is the first one in a while, I think, and that is Anatomy of a Fall. Scott, can you introduce that for us?
Absolutely. So, Anatomy of a Fall is a French and English movie about a man who has fallen out of his house, and it's in the name. And the prime suspect in his death is his wife, Sandra, and the only witness is their partially blind son. Here's a clip.
So, as you know, the autopsy report is inconclusive about the cause of death.
Stop. I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
Il parle de tromperie.
I was honest about it.
Mais vous l'avez pas été l'année de sa mort avec cette fille avec qui vous l'avez trompé, pourquoi? Il y a quand même quelque chose d'un peu étrange dans cette situation. Vous admettez qu'il était jaloux?
No, I don't know. No.
So, who's going to start on this? Andy, we've not heard from you yet, so why don't you take the honours?
I enjoyed this up until the last half hour. I think it's, bearing in mind what you just said about the Marvels, I think it's half an hour too long. It's a courtroom drama. Did she or didn't she? Did he jump? Was it suicide? Or did she push him from the attic balcony?
Did the dog do it?
Did the dog do it? It's one of those films, did she or didn't she? Great courtroom drama. Great performance by particularly Sandra Miller as the wife, who is at the centre of all this. But I felt it was too long. So we get the answer to our question, did she or didn't she? And then the film carries on for another half an hour. Redundant. Finish there. It's too long. You've told me the story. I don't need to sit for another half an hour of whatever. So I thought it was really good, but I thought it was too long. That's all I can say about it, really. So who done it? Did she or didn't she? And I felt it was half an hour too long. Once we get the resolution to the case, we're in the courtroom. The jury declares its verdict. No spoilers here. Then we get another half an hour, and I was actually sat there in the screening, thinking, "Great, I could go now, no problem." And then the film just kept going and kept going and kept going. Stop! You told me the story. I don't need to see any of this fluff afterwards. Okay. So it's spoilt for me by being too long, but quite good.
All right. Okay. I'll hold fire on my clients. Scott.
Well, first of all, I'm with you, Andy, at the end. It basically felt like a half an hour epilogue that we just didn't need. Didn't need at all. For me, I thought this was an enjoyable movie. I thought the performances were very impressive. Sandra Hüller, I would not be surprised if she got an Oscar nomination for this, to be honest with you. It was that impressive for me. I think the film in general is probably going to get an international feature nomination. Perhaps it could be in the conversation for winning as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a Best Director nomination, a Best Screenplay nomination could easily come with it as well. I think it's really got that strong package. The film actually won the Palme d'Or as well.
Yeah, indeed, the Palme d'Or winner. And once again, a woman director as well, Justine Triet.
Yes, indeed.
Is the director. So that's two films in a row here that have been directed by women, which is great.
Yeah, I thought this was just a very strong story in general. It seems like it's such a simple plot to begin with. We've got a dead body. Did he fall accidentally? Was he pushed? Or was it a suicide? And you spend the whole movie basically trying to answer that question.
But once you get the answer, there's still half an hour. Stop now. This has a very.
I'm struggling to remember what happened at the end of the film. Then
exactly because we don't pay attention anymore.
Bob, it would be spoilers.
Well, I know it would be spoilers. We're not gonna cover it here. But I'm gonna have to watch it again.
You talked about your bladder, Bob, and you're obviously referring to the Hitchcock quote about no film should be longer than the endurance of the human bladder.
Yeah,
this one was. And very Hitchcockian feel to the film, but Hitchcock would have ended it half an hour earlier because he knew that the audience had enough by then. That was Hitchcock's great skill. Finish.
Andy,
Stories of it.
Andy, we know. Emma, how about you?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a bit long. It was. I just found it like I was engaged through the majority of it, but it was just very slow for me. It's not generally the sort of film I would probably choose to watch. I did avoid it at the London Film Festival in preference of other things. Glad I did, because I would have been fuming. But I don't know, that the courtroom scenes I found ridiculous, which I know Scott mentioned when we were vaguely chatting about it a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
and it was.
I want to ask Scott about this because I assume this is. I'd assume that this was kind of the French way of doing things in the court.
I mean, I can't speak for French courtrooms, to be honest with you, Bob, so I don't know if they're like that, but I don't think they can just have people talking to the judge, talking to the witness, talking to the suspect at all these different points with no real order going on. I don't think that the prosecutor can randomly just go up to the bench where the judge is and put his elbow over the bench and just casually start hanging out there. And there was just the line of questioning, the way they were talking. I was like, I get it. It's an emotional drama. They're doing it for the entertainment purposes. And sometimes I can suspend disbelief. I love Ally McBeal. I get the whole courtroom drama stuff can be silly. But there was just too many scenes. Because it's a serious movie. That's the thing as well. It's a serious movie. So I was like, no, that's just too silly. That wouldn't go down. He is very unprofessional in the way he's behaving. And just generally around the court with the way people were speaking, I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this, but that's a little bit silly. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Emma.
Yeah, I mean, I just like, one of my like staple watches is crime TV shows. And, you know, I'm not a law expert, but even watching them, I'm like, you couldn't do that? What about this? You know, like I'm some kind of expert. But I thought the son was very good. His acting in it.
Milo Machado Groner. Yeah, I thought he was excellent.
I thought that was really strong. Although at one point, I would have thrown that kid in jail. I was so angry in the film, and my friends and I came out, and we're both animal lovers, and we were raging. We in fact, we didn't care about whatever else happened. Like the end of that film should have been that child being locked up for life. I just genuinely don't care about that child.
I mean,
the dog was a very good actor, wasn't it? I have to say that when the body was first discovered, right, the dog actually looked surprised when it was coming up the hill and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" I don't know how you trained an animal to do that, but it's very good.
I mean, Mark Kermode called this one of the films of the year. No, it's not going to feature in my top 10 come the end of the year.
I'm going to put my hand up and say it might well appear in one of my films of the year. I thought it was absolutely terrific. I thought the acting was superb. I thought the direction, as you were saying, Andy, Hitchcockian in some of its aspects, was really good. I wrote my review the other day, and it's one that I keep going back to and fiddling with, because I think there was such a lot of depth in what was going on and in the story, and about in Sandra's sexuality coming in with her relationships rather with the journalist at the beginning of the film, and also the girl who comes to basically babysit and make sure that her son doesn't interact. I thought there was a real interesting dynamic going on there. And the fact that she was a writer, the fact that there's been this stealing of ideas, which we had recently in that Richard E. Grant film from a few weeks back, didn't we? Similar, there were so many different kind of dimensions of the film as we went through it, rather than it just being a simple murder mystery. That wonderful scene where they're having an argument and you see it in video up to a certain point, and then the video stops and all you hear is the audio that the jury is hearing. and you have to try and interpret what the hell is going on from that. I thought this was just a cracking film, and I sat and watched it till the end, and I didn't notice it was 2.5 hours that had gone by. And it makes me want to wonder what happened at the end of the film now, as to why I was still engaged and you guys weren't. So, I thought it was terrific, and I could see this getting a number of Oscar nods, the same way that All Quiet on the Western Front did last year. Thought it was terrific. So, scores on the doors. We've got 4 scores. Oh, God, divide by 4 here. Make it an even number. Andy, how about you?
I was all set to give it a 7, but then it dragged on and on and on. So I'm giving it a 6.
Okay. Scott?
This one's really tough for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm very much between a 7 and an 8. I had gone into this with a 7. I'll say 7, but I might change my mind by the time I write my reviews.
7-13. Emma?
Let's say, I think it's got to be a 6.
15-19.
But I'm very much sort of up and down on that.
And I'm giving it a 9. So that's 28. Divided by 4 is 7. We pulled it back from the jaws of Missness to be a very marginal hit. But no, I loved it. So there you go. Takes all sorts, doesn't it?